You don't want to tell them about the time I beat you on a horse, though. I was playing. She killed me on a horse. She killed me.
You saw how I looked at the camera. That is not accurate.
I think I gave you an H, though.
He gave me a letter. What? A, singular.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Back on topic.
What's up, everybody? Deja Kelly here, and welcome back to Nilosophy. Today's guest is a little special, just a little bit. The boss man, Mr. Make It Happen, the man himself, Cecil White, my agent, the man who makes me lots and lots of money.
No pressure.
Cease? What's up? How you doing? We in your city?
Yeah.
How you doing?
You know, I'm just so happy to be here. Yeah, it's crazy. This is like a surreal thing, but I'm so proud of you and I'm excited to be on the show.
Well, I think that the people have to hear how you get me money and how you make a lot of clients money. No, but I think from an agent's perspective, Nilosophy is all about NIL, building brands, obviously having the support system from being able to be partnered with an agent, the agency, just being able to have those resources I think is very different. But to start, let's tell the people what it's like working with Deja Kelly.
Oh, man, it's the best. You know, I tell you all the time when we have these conversations, like you came into our relationship with like a brand already, which for an agent that does what I do on the marketing side is like a dream. You know what I mean? Like you had a point of view, you had a perspective, you had a following. I mean, you had diverse interests, so I love it because no 2 days are alike. You know, one day we're talking about hoops, the next day we're talking about broadcasting or Nilosophy or whatever it is. So it's the best roller coaster that I could possibly be on. Hope I'm on it for a very long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is my guy, for sure. But as we get into the partnerships, again, lots of conversations that we've had, the business aspect, the growth of NIL just in general. You've worked with a lot of college athletes as well and pros. Yeah. Talk to me about once NIL became legal, the shift, the transition that you've seen from an agent's perspective kind of dealing with collegiate athletes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like a lot of people will ask me about my career and how I started. And it's crazy because like, I think the assumption is that as an agent, you start working with like younger talent and then make your way up for older. For me, it was the opposite because of NIL. So the first few years of my career, I was working with, you know, pro guys or retired athletes in some cases. And then when the laws changed, it was like, okay, like Wild Wild West, all the, you know, cliches that we all hear. For me, it was a great career opportunity to say, okay, great. Like I'm more relatable probably with a 20-year-old, 19-year-old than, you know, an older agent. I've been in the game, you know, long enough to be able to speak the language and bring deals. So it was a really amazing opportunity for me. But as an agency, we were slow and steady. I mean, it's crazy to think about this. You were only like our second or third NIL client like ever in the history of WNBA. And you were our first women's basketball player ever. So shout out to you. But yeah, and from there, you know, it's really been an exercise of like taking the same types of strategies that we would, you know, for a professional athlete and applying it to collegiate athletes. And honestly, in many ways, you guys have built more lucrative portfolios off of the field and off the court than a lot of professional athletes. You know, typically NBA, WNBA, NFL, you have to be in that like top 1 to 5% of, you know, folks on the field to really be able to take advantage of marketing. But what you guys did to the advertising world was show the brands and companies that were investing that you all have stories, right? No matter, you know, whether you were at UNC or Oral Roberts or wherever, you're seeing NIL deals come to athletes of all shapes, sizes, and skill levels. So you guys have really opened up the game for a lot of athletes overall.
And everyone has a story, right? Yeah. So what's been the difference in pitching when you pitch to brands, when you pitch your athletes, your clients? What's been the difference in pitching your pro clients and your collegiate clients?
Because honestly, it's crazy you asked that because like it really is more about the people now. You know what I mean? Like before you're like, okay, this person plays for Toronto Raptors and the Toronto Raptors get X amount of visibility and this person is going to be the face of the team or whatever it may be. And for you guys, it really is like an exercise of articulating who you are as a person and the values that you're going to bring a brand as a human being. And of course, that has always been a part of the pitch, but I think even more so now because, a lot of these brands don't have the money to go partner with a Deja Kelly and go get a licensing deal at University of Oregon to show you in the uniform. So all they get is your name, image, and likeness, and everything else comes down to your story in ways that you can lean in. So I think the pitch is just more personal. And you guys are also very forward thinking. Like, it's about the philanthropic things that you guys care about, and how the brands can invest in that, media and content. This show is a perfect example. How many brands have we pitched Nilosophy to, right? That also want to work with you personally. And it's just a more diversified pitch, I think.
100%. And you are you're a hardworking agent. You get out there, you make those pitches.
That's why I don't have a hairline, but yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Anyways, you make your pitches. You are very adamant. Again, you do what's best for your clients. You look out for your clients. You try to put them in the best position from a business aspect, financially. Talk to me about your journey in becoming an agent and wanting to become a sports agent. What made you so motivated to want to really thrive in this space and really push for your clients as well?
Yeah, coming from Hampton, Virginia, like this was, that where I come from is everything, playing for Boo Williams, who I know you know well, having friends who, transitioned and played in college and made it to the NBA and NFL and watching their journeys, the successes and the pitfalls, and being 5'6" with very limited ceiling athletically. You don't want to tell them about the time I beat you on horse, though. I was playing. She killed me. A horse, she killed me.
It wasn't I looked at the camera. That is not accurate.
I think I gave you an H, though.
He gave me a letter, A, singular.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Back on topic. But yeah, I knew early on that I wanted to be in the business of sports. And, went to UVA, did investment banking, because I wanted to be able to speak the language of business at a very high level. And I wanted to be able to help athletes not just negotiate deals, but really create generational wealth and build businesses and enterprise. So that's why I started off on Wall Street. Came to WME after 2 years of working at Barclays, and the rest was really history. Some of the first clients that I worked with were older athletes, like I said. I really got a chance to cut my teeth with seasoned folks like Cam Newton and Venus Williams and Colin Kaepernick, who at the time, were at WME, and many of them still are, and had different agents, right? There was one agent in particular, Carlos Fleming, who gave me my opportunity, and he looked after a lot of those people that I just mentioned, all those people I just mentioned, and allowed me the opportunity to bring them deals. And that really gave me the chance to build my resume, to be able to sit across from you and your mom 5 years later and talk about the body of work I had. And so started signing my own clients. And like I said, NIL just really gave me the opportunity to accelerate my career, and I'm really grateful.
You've been my agent for, was it 4 years now?
Yeah.
4 years
Crazy.
now. We've made a lot of things shake, a lot of things happen.
For sure.
You've helped build my business portfolio, my portfolio in general. Completely transformed my brand and who I was and how I wanted to present myself to brands and on the basketball court, through my social media, through my platforms. When did you decide because you see a lot of agents who are like, I'm only going to work with pro athletes. Like it's different perspectives. There's lots of different layers that goes into it. So how did you decide, like, the NIL space is something that I want to be involved in, where I can see myself really helping and elevating my clients. How did you try to differentiate the two and really want to tap into the NIL world?
Well, for me, I've always just tried to work with folks that I know I could deliver for. And the age and the stage of their career, all those things, I wanted to be nimble enough to accommodate, right? Whether you were in college or pro. So for me, it was always like finding really great athletes who, were focused on being the best that they could be off the court, on the field and on the court, or wherever their field of play is, but also had diverse interests. And that's what made working with you so natural. It's like, when I call you about a broadcasting internship or a podcast opportunity or, a fashion opportunity or PR, whatever it is, you have the openness and aperture to do that. And the fact that you were 19 just meant that I could work with you for a longer period of time. But honestly, we as an agency were pretty reluctant on NIL. Like, we were one of the last ones to the party, right, to really start working with people, because we wanted to make sure that we could actually deliver value.
Doing it right, yeah.
Yeah, and you've been the case study, honestly.
from an agent's perspective, what are the biggest surprises you've seen in this landscape and throughout this growth of NIL and kind of where it is now from where it began?
Honestly, like it's accelerated quite quickly, right? Like 4 years ago when we started working together, the idea that a university would even entertain pay for play was like not even in the equation. And now, depending on how some things shake out politically and legislatively, we may be entering into that space for pay per play as soon as next season or the season after, which is just wild. So I think the pace of, you know, how real this has gotten for you guys to be fully compensated has been a pleasant surprise. I also think you guys don't get enough credit for the level of sophistication that you guys have. I mean, you're 24 years old, you know, you've bought a house, you know, you've invested in venture capital, you've got equity and content that you're creating, you've employed people. I mean, like, you know, to do all of that at your age, and for all of you guys, many of you all who've stepped into this, you know, the way that you have, I mean, it's just massively impressive, whether you're an athlete or not, right? Like when I was your age, like I had a college degree and I felt like I was doing pretty well. The things you're doing.
College degree is great.
College degree works.
What advice would you give to athletes who may not know where to start with an agent, like trying to go that route, or who are just trying to do it themselves, which is completely fine too. You've seen a lot of athletes kind of just build their own brand by themselves and outreach and pitch themselves to brands. So what advice would you give to them if they don't have the guidance or support from an agency?
You and I talk about this all the time. Like, you should be your own CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of how your team is structured, like as an athlete, you should be at the nucleus of your business. And you know this, even when, whether it's me or your wealth advisors or your lawyers or your publicists, everything's driven by you. And I would just encourage all student athletes to just educate yourself on what's happening. You know, if you're good enough or you have enough marketability to deserve an agent, which, by the way, I don't necessarily think it's a necessity for all athletes. But when you get to the point where you are a little bit overwhelmed by the inbound things that may be coming your way, that may be a great time to explore having an agent. But even whether you do or you don't, understanding, you know, what's happening in your business and being the driver of it is massively important. And, you know, it's like for me as an agent, you and I talk all the time, it's like just teaching you how to fish, right? Find someone who's going to educate you and help you sharpen your business acumen. Because the goal, as crazy as this sounds, is like in 10 years, you may not need me in the same capacity that you did when you were 19, right? Because you've been around the block and you've learned and you know how to structure your deals and you know financially what you need. And my hope as a kid who came from Hampton, Virginia, seeing the Michael Vicks and Allen Iversons of the world, their successes and pitfalls, as we said earlier, is that you guys avoid some of the trappings that that come, not because you just handed your business to somebody really smart, but because you took the time to educate yourself and you're taking advantage of the opportunities.
Athletes should be their own CEO. I think that's something that you've really allowed me to do, just kind of take control of my own narrative and the brand that I want to build. And again, just the generational wealth that I want to grow, like just all the different aspects of things that you've taught me and supported and guided me with throughout the time of you being my agent thus far. It's really allowed me to, again, take ownership of my life and career and just learn so many different things that I would never have thought I would learn at 19, 20, 21 years old, and being able to come out of college now a homeowner, an investor, and being just all those different things that, again, you've provided, the team have provided so much guidance with, but being able to myself go through it on my own and learn about, okay, I want to be a part of this. No, this is something I don't want to be a part of. Like being able to answer for myself, figure out the ins and outs of different brands, partnerships, and just, again, being able to advocate for myself too. I think that's something that's huge. And again, something that specifically young female athletes, young athletes may not know how to do or may not be able to learn how to do or be put in real life situations 100%. In that time to be able to do so. So I think, of course, I appreciate you. We're not going to get emotional in here, but of course.
It's like my third time I'm about to cry, man. Max, where's the tissues at?
Man. But of course, like, just so grateful for you for allowing me to do so, because you could be an agent who's like, this is how it's going to go. We're going to do it this way. You need to take this deal, or no, or I said no, like whatever it is. Like I feel like I've seen it all, and I've heard a bunch of different stories. But to be able to have that guidance from you while also being able to grow and learn about myself throughout the process, because this landscape has changed quickly.
Yeah.
And it's happened so fast, and I think it forces you to grow up
100%.
way faster than you would have thought within college. And again, it makes you and forces you to learn about yourself and figure out what you want and figure out what you want at the next level. And once you're done with college, like for me, I was like, I'm here to hoop and get my degree. And then NIL came, and I was like, okay, now I have to figure out how I'm going to brand myself, how I'm going to carry myself through social media. How am I going to get into this room to meet with this CEO to build a long-term relationship? And those are all like places that you were able to put me in. But again, it's something that happened way faster than we thought.
It took you knowing that it was important, though.
Yep.
And that's my biggest thing is like, when you asked that question earlier, like, how do I select who I want to work with and at what phase? It's like you being coachable at 19, for you to have been as coachable as you were, but invested in your business the way you were. It's a credit to you, and it's a credit to your mom for laying that foundation. Like I said, the Deja Kelly brand was built already. You know, what you guys were doing when you were 13 years old, 14 years old, has set you up for everything you're doing now. So,
are there frustrations from an agent's perspective of working with kids, athletes, pros who just kind of don't want to put in the work to be able to build their brand, and again, take your advice or however it is, like to go about their business and really, again, be their own CEO and make a name for themselves? Like, are there frustrations around kind of that?
I mean, the biggest disappointment, I think, or the toughest part of the job is probably seeing someone with untapped potential, you know, or seeing someone who, if they just tweaked this part of the way they were moving, would, you know, it would unlock a world of opportunities. So of course, like, that part is probably the toughest. And it's not just marketing, right? Like, sometimes, you know, basketball, you know, like, talk hoops for a minute. Like, when you're used to being the best scorer on the team from when you were 6 years old until when you're 19, and then an NBA or a WNBA, you know, front office exec says, hey, or a coach says, hey, this was your role back then. Now I need you to pass. I need you to set the screen and facilitate and play really great defense. And that person just isn't willing to, like, put their ego aside to do it. And, like, of course, like, I stopped playing basketball formally when I was in 12th grade. You know what I mean? So, like, what do I know? I always tell people there's two things that I will never do, is tell you how to do your job or try to force you to do something that makes you uncomfortable. And so I'm sure it's easier said than done to, like, shift your mindset from playing one role to another, but also knowing that there's so much upside that could come if you did just make that shift. Of course, like, it's frustrating.
That's a great point, because I personally we've dealt with that with each other. So I've been very stubborn, and I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to so-and-so, or no, I don't want to partner with whoever. Like, it took a conversation of us where you were just like, this could be, you know, for the future, this could be building your future. Like, and this was when I feel like I'm pretty more open-minded now, guys.
Yeah.
19, 20, like when we first got into it, and I was like, no, I want the biggest name. I want I want 20 plus brand deals. And I think that was something that we really sat down, and it was like, it's not all about the quantity, it's about the quality. And for me, it was, I think, once I really understood that and listened to your perspective and put my ego aside, where it was like, I don't have to have the biggest names, I don't have to have the most deals, because I think for me it was more so looking outward. And and that's where you came in, and I really appreciated it. You were like, don't worry about what everyone else has going on. Like, everyone else's journey is different, everyone else's brand is different.
100%.
And I appreciate that advice more than ever, because the fact that, again, I have my own show. I have met with countless CEOs. I've made investments. All of these things that have added up to where it's like, all of it is going to turn out well for me and continue to grow financially in the long term. I appreciate that, because it was short-term thinking that I had initially. And I think to have an agent like you who wasn't just a yes man, it was in those hard conversations to where it was like, you got to put your ego aside, Deja, and figure out, like, Jaslyn.
We put that on air. I'm sorry. My bad. Government.
Yes, but like, you were like, no, this, like, you have to really, if you want to if you want to grow this side of your business, then you have to be willing to take a step back and figure this, like, all these different things out. So I think that's something that you see a lot of athletes who kind of struggle with, because they don't want to, have the biggest names. I don't have to have the most deals, because I think for me, it was, I think, once I really understood that and listened to your perspective and put my ego aside, where it was like, I don't have to have the biggest names, I don't have to have the most deals, because I think for me, it was, I think, that's something that you see a lot of athletes who kind of struggle with, because they don't want to either want to do the dirty work or they want to keep it out. Like they just think that everything has to just come to them because of who they are, because of their name, because of the school they're at. Like all of these different things. Like I think it all just comes down to how hard are you going to work? How hard are you willing, or the work you're willing to put in to be able to continue to build your brand and give back in that way.
Yeah, and by the way, I think everything that we've passed on or that we see someone else doing, like in hindsight, we typically feel okay with it, right? Because it's like that deal was meant for that person, or that partnership made sense for them for a different reason. I think the Deja Kelly brand has been built so intentionally that like everybody we're in business with for a reason, and it's typically repeat business. You know what I mean? People love to work with you because of what you've done for them in the past and the natural, organic connection that you have. And so it's a slow and steady build, you know? And we passed on things. I've told you, like the best thing that I can feel as an agent is knowing that you've made a decision that's difficult, but that you're happy with, like whether it was what I recommended or not. You know, like, you know, we passed on something this morning. And, you know, like hearing you be like, no, like that one doesn't make sense for me. I'm like, great, we've done our job, because now you feel empowered. My only job is to go fight for you and obviously create opportunities and then help groom you to where you can make confident decisions, right? Like, I don't want you to do anything in particular. I just want you to do what's right for you. And just watching you become a young woman that is so thoughtful and all the things is probably the biggest gratification for me. Like, you're confident enough to say no to somebody, right?
Thank you. And I think that's what it's about. And again, you're right. That's what matters, because it's about how can you continue to grow as a person? You know, everyone sees the basketball, they see the deals, they see the partnerships, the financial aspect of it. But it's like, for me, I've grown as a person. I've grown as a woman. I've become a better woman. I've been able to be confident in walking in the room and speaking up and advocating for myself because of these lessons that you've taught me and conversations that we've had, to where I've been able to, again, grow for myself and advocate for myself in these rooms, because it was tough for me before. Like I was just like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes.
You were shy as hell when we first met.
I was shy.
People don't know that this girl that y'all see, I mean, the 19-year-old was, you know, I mean, you've always had it in you, but like, you know, like you've grown your voice. And like, see, I think it was like the Bloomberg conference that you spoke at, and it was you and the commissioner of the American conference, and the fact that like you and, I don't want to date Tim Pernetti because Tim's my guy, but like you and like a 50-plus-year-old man are both on the same stage talking about the business of college sports. You know, like it's massively impressive. So, and it comes because you've pushed yourself and stretched and been uncomfortable, you know, so.
Very uncomfortable. This has helped me in different aspects, just besides just business. Like I've been able to have talks with my coaches that have been where before, when I first got in school, 18, 19 years old, I would be like, okay, I'll just wait and see, you know, I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to like make anyone mad or anything. But like now it's given me confidence, and not in a bad way or an overpowering way. It's just being able to advocate for myself in rooms like that, and something where it relates to basketball, to where I can be like, okay, I know my value. And let's discuss it. How can we get better from this? How can we move forward?
These things are a microcosm for life. Like negotiating, finding partnership and values, and managing relationships, like all those things are going to help you become a better person. But I just think, as you've said, but I also think it's just beautiful that Black women are finally getting their just due in that respect. I mean, you can't have a conversation for NIL without talking about the U's of the world, the Angel Reese's of the world, right? Like, there's so many examples, and particularly of like pushing the limit, right, on like what a partnership looks like. You know what I mean? I'm just very proud of you, but I'm proud of you guys as a group.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, again, as a group, as you've seen so many pioneers in the NIL space, and so many people just really attacking it head on and being able to accomplish lots of goals and give back. And what are ways or strategies that you have in seeking a partnership or a deal for a college athlete, for not specifically just to me, but just all of your NIL athletes that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, you know, just spending a lot of time with you guys before we even hit the market, right? Like, what does a good deal for Deja look like? Because that's different than any other client that I have. And making sure that I carry that out. And not just me, the entire agency. right, are carrying out your outreach with that in mind, so that the first conversation we have, we're talking about the fact that you're passionate about supporting, single Black mothers. We're talking about your basketball camp that you do every summer in Texas. We're talking about the fact that you're passionate about fashion and the fact that you have a show and all these things. And so it sets the standard when I'm talking to a brand, like, of what it's going to take in order to get something done with you. And that, to me, I think is the best thing. Like, if you don't know your client, you're not going to be able to service at a high level in this business. And then it becomes transactional. And to your point, there are some agents that make a perfect living doing it. For me, it's just not fulfillment. It's not fulfilling, right? Like, I would have stayed on Wall Street to do that. Like, the reason why I'm here is to help people that I really believe in achieve their goals in life, and not to make a buck. So if we got a 7-figure deal for you, but they didn't invest in your camp, that's a loss to me. If we bring in somebody and, they see this show, shout out to all the sponsors for this show.
Yes, indeed.
And they see this show and they want to work with you and not invest in your show, like, that's a problem for me. And so, we'll still do some of those things, but, like, really just trying to hold people accountable from the beginning of what success looks like for you, not just for the company that you're working with.
And it's important you said that, because we've seen that in real time, like with the brands that I've partnered with. You mentioned my camp, having so many of the partnerships that we have actually invest and give back just to support my camp. Without asking for money, without anything in exchange. Like, it was, so that means that there was so much thought going into our process and how we aligned with like, I tell you all the time, like, if it doesn't align with my values and who I am as a person, who I'm trying to become as well, and as a basketball player, as a business, then we just can't do it. It just doesn't make sense. And the amount of times that we've said no, because there's been times where it just, I guess I can do this for you, but can't help you.
At what cost?
Exactly. And I think that's something that, again, can be appreciated, because that's true. Like, we want to work with people who see me as a person, who see me as, not just for what I do on the court and what like, they can see me as at how I can add value to their brand as well.
To the company. It was like Bazooka, right? Like, when you invested, like, you could have written the check and then just walked away. But it was like, you were in New York, you came to New York, like, let the Bazooka people know. You sat with their management team, you sat with their leadership team, you learned about their marketing strategy.
They asked me advice on how the next marketing strategy, the next rollout that they want to do, getting my ideas for that, like, being able to sit in that room and be able to give that, like, that's a real partnership, because 100%. It's at both are gaining value from it. Like,
exactly.
And again, that's a long-term partnership potentially, and that where we could both really grow from it. And that's something where you have done a really good job of trying to put me in those rooms and have me partner with certain brands that will do so, because again, it's not just short-term thinking, it's the longevity. How can we continue to grow my brand 5-10 years from now with some of these brands and keep those relationships, where they need to be?
100%.
We talked about, or you talked about a little bit, like how things are starting to become transactional. So let's get back to the college hoops process. We're seeing it happen in live time, but university is going to be pay for play. That's what it's going to come to. And what is what have you already dealt with, or what can you see, or concerns maybe that you have, or excitement around the fact that, there's the transfer portal is crazy right now, mostly because people are looking for a better financial situation at a different university. How can that, or will it continue to change the NIL landscape through universities paying athletes to play?
Yeah, I think there'll be a variety of things. One, I think institutional capital is going to come in. Like, when you talked to Tim Pernetti, he mentioned that too, like private equity entering the college athletics as a whole, right? I think is going to be inevitable. So there'll be more capital invested, which means more resources for you guys, hopefully. Two is, you guys are going to have to get smarter financially. And you've done a great job. A lot of athletes have done a great job of educating themselves and bringing on great teams. But pay for play means, that those dollars are going to hit your account way sooner. You know what I mean? Like, marketing is a slow build. You got to pitch, you got to do the negotiation, you got to perform the services, and then you get paid. With pay for play, you're going to show up on campus and there's going to be a lot of money sitting in your checking account, right, from day one. So I think, you guys are going to have to be even more fiscally responsible than ever. For me, it's all opportunity. I don't think there's any downside in someone being paid for their work. Like, I just fundamentally some people feel differently. Like, to me, the idea of amateurism, and, you know, sorry if this offends anybody, but like, I feel like it's so subjective to certain sports. Like, to me, it's so ironic that we have no problem with 12 and 13-year-old tennis players getting paid, but we have a problem with the 19-year-old basketball player getting paid. And then when you peel back the onion, peel back the onion a little bit, and you see that this tennis player came from a certain community, looks a certain way.
Yep.
The majority of people who play these certain sports look a certain way, and we have an issue with them getting financially compensated because of the way that a system was set up, not because of an intrinsic issue,
right?
But because, well, this is the way it's always been.
Yeah.
Well, why was it constructed that way to begin with?
Exactly.
And to me, it's all opportunity for you guys to take advantage. And you have to be smart, for sure. But concerns over people not using their money the right way as an excuse to not pay them at all is fundamentally wrong to me.
Yep.
And you guys will create your own futures. You've been extremely smart about making sure that the money you're making now will only compound for the next 20 years. And I think there's a lot of athletes that do that too and don't get credit for it. So yeah, all that to say, I think the future is so bright. And yeah, the more money that flows in for you guys, the better. You deserve it.
Give me a few do's and don'ts of an athlete approaching or seeking an agent.
Ooh, wow. Do's. We'll start with the do's. Ask the tough questions. Why are they, what motivates them to be in this job? Will they be with you through the ups and the downs, right? Like, talk about it. Like, hey, if I get injured next season, what's our plan, right? If the draft or whatever, like, certain things don't work out, what's our plan, right? So do just ask the tough questions and interrogate. Do your research. Everybody's clients, for the most part, are in some way, shape, or form publicly available. Go to the agency's Instagram or whatever and call them. DM them. What's it like to work with this person, right? How have they changed your business? How have they elevated you? Do your research in that way. The don'ts is, honestly, ironically, like, don't be in a rush to get an agent. We will find you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I reached out to you guys.
Yep.
And I think finding someone who's super passionate about helping you build your business is really important. And chances are, if you're reaching out to them, that may not be the case. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but yeah, I would just say, don't be in a rush. Don't prioritize the bag. Like, be strategic. Find someone who wants to actually help you build something versus just put some money in your pocket. Yeah, and don't get distracted from the main thing. Like, if you weren't McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand Classic, committed to college to play college basketball when you were like 11, like, if those things weren't there, then helping you take advantage of all these things would be a lot more difficult.
Yep.
So keep the main thing the main thing.
That's great advice, I think, to a lot of athletes who, again, just may not know where to start, may not know who to talk to, may not know how to talk to a potential agent. So I think that's great advice, especially in this landscape, in this era, new college era, where agents are important. I think to be able to help negotiate your now deals or your pay for play potentially at universities, like, I think being able to have someone advocate for you like that, knowing how to approach them, knowing how to get an agent, but I think having one, I mean, for me, has been life-changing. So I think more athletes are starting to do so rather than just going the self-made route, which is fine too. But I think it's important. I think there's different opportunities that agents can provide for you and different contacts and helping build your network as well. I think that's super important. Okay, last one. The best advice you've got.
Ooh, man. Don't get too high on the highs and don't get too low on the lows. This job, one of my mentors when I first started told me a day in the life of an agent is like, there's triumph on line 1 and tragedy on line 2. And I never really appreciated that until I got to the seat. Like, we've had amazing wins. We've had tough losses, and we've gotten through all of them. And I think the best advice that I can give anybody, athlete, agent, whomever, is just stay steady, you know, and don't get caught up in the fray either way, you know. Like, I know you're going to be good. Like, regardless of whether we are happy on a Monday, something great happens, we get a great deal, or someone tells us no, like the next day we're going to get up and keep going.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so sentimental.
I know. I'm like, I'm going to use that advice.
Are we going to do this toast?
Oh, yeah. I mean, duh. We're closing now. So, Cease, it's time for us to toast, my man, to a phenomenal 4 years thus far.
Absolutely.
40 more to go.
40 more.
You can't get rid of me.
Just 40?
Just 40. Maybe 50. I mean, you know, you're old. So
you're going to be yeah, you're right. I am old.
You're getting old.
I was thinking about the you of it. The me of it is, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, either way. But yeah, so many more years together, many more opportunities.
Yes.
Lots more money.
I know, that's right.
So
I love that this is a carbonated beverage.
Wait, can you open it for me, though? My nails. My nails.
Oh, yeah, your nails. Okay. No
They're
problem.
important.
Only for you.
Hopefully a nail deal is on the way.
100%. And a Band-Aid deal.
I broke a nail, guys, so I didn't want y'all to see it look ugly on here. But, yeah.
Cheers. To Nilosophy.
To Nilosophy.
Proud of you. The way I went right for the table. We've never had a drink together.
Clearly not.
No, definitely not.
Okay, wait.
This is actually really good. You know I love carbonated drinks.
Tried this flavor yet?
Vintage cola? What makes it vintage and not just regular cola?
It's like nostalgic. It tastes like when you were a kid and you were.
But like, does it taste nostalgic?
Yeah, it's vintage.
Okay, all right.
That's why I said nostalgic.
I've been influenced. It's vintage.
I like it. I like it. Well, that's a wrap on our episode. Cecil, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Even though you didn't really have a choice because you had to come speak with me. But seriously, you're the best in the game, the best in the business.
Love you.
People need to watch this and take all the advice, both athletes and agents, on how to go about their business, handle business.
I know that's right. Stand on it.
That's right. Stand on it.